This is George Senda, the real, official, authentic, original, the one, the only, the official, the guy from Pittsburgh, except no cheesy YouTube commentators. Imposters or corrupt election officials in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, Michigan, or Arizona. All right, this is Burgh Unboxing and Commentary. I got this in the mail today, and this will enable me to finally use the other Mac again. So I already opened the bag, but I haven't taken it out. So you get to see this just like I do. Doesn't just fell on the floor. Thanks. Give us a review. Having an issue, don't panic. Contact us. Maybe I should have him examine the fraudulent votes all over the place for Biden. All right, this is the Macaulay 3-button optical USB mouse. Source optique USB avec 13 boutons. Optische or USB mouse mit 3 Tasten. And then there's one in what looks like, I don't know what this is. Rattan USB optical con 3 botones. So there's the back. There's the front. Let's open it up. If I can open it up without a scissor. Nope, not to let me do that. Can't see anything this Pittsburgh hat. And I want to tell you, as long as I can remember, back to the days when David Lawrence was mayor of Pittsburgh before he became governor, back to the days when Scranton was democratically controlled, back to the day when Erie was democratically controlled. When I was a child, back to the day when Philadelphia was democratically controlled under the corrupt Frank Rizzo, when Nixon was president. Pennsylvania politics have always been mostly Democratic and mostly crooked, where people could get jobs and never go to work. They got a paycheck, but they never had to appear at a job. Same with Frank Sinatra's father in Hoboken, democratically controlled. He was a fireman. He had to show up once a year at the fire station legally, but he had a lifetime job. Never worked a day in his life as a fireman. All right, nothing in the box, and this weird mouse keeps shutting itself on and off. It won't be recognized by the Mac, but this is the wired mouse. So the Bluetooth does not conflict with this computer, which is very, very strange computer. They keep fighting each other when I try to use 2 Bluetooth mice. So I will connect that when this video is done. The keyboard, the red keyboard, Ruby keyboard is already connected. All it needs is a mouse, and then I can start doing videos in the hallway. I need to clean the floor off a little bit so you get to see the alien heads and all that. So there is the mouse. Bit stiff with a track wheel, which I've never liked. Oh, it is an optical mouse. I didn't realize that was me. This kind of a laser mouse. So I'm gonna have to run mouse pads back and forth, or it won't read it. So I'll have to buy another mouse pad. It's okay. I can get a mouse pad at Target tomorrow when I go out with Kathy. All right, so that's that. Very hot here today, 78 degrees. Got all the kitties. They're happy. Little girl has been cuddling next to me like crazy, and Kathy says Cleo has been jumping on the chair and cuddling her and sat on the chair, and she's never done that before. Fuzzy's over there in her house. And, you know, I don't know what your problem is. Why do you keep coming in and asking, am I Jewish? Doesn't matter what my religion is. It shouldn't matter. So stop asking. You know, I'm me. What I do away from the channel and my religion is my business, not anyone else's. And I don't know why you're asking the question. I find that to be impudent and annoying. I live the best life I can, and I follow my own religious dictates, and I believe in God. That's what's important. And I got a treat fleshy scratching again. All right, thank you for watching, but that I find that very presumptuous to ask, what's my religion? I don't go and ask what's your religion. Why should you do it to me? Why should it matter? In any event, we see the corrupt officials in Pennsylvania put up a 30-foot fence, will not allow Republican poll watchers to examine the ballots or even be able to see them. They're 30 feet away. So Trump's people have sued in Pennsylvania. They've sued in Wisconsin. I'm surprised they did not sue in Michigan. Wisconsin and Michigan went for Biden despite Trump being ahead all night in the in-person balloting. And I'm still convinced these mail-in ballots where a Pennsylvania judge says, you don't need a signature, you don't need a clear postmark, you don't even need a postmark. You don't need any way of proving that this person actually cast this ballot. We're going to let them all in 3 days after the election. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. Same thing, they're suing in Georgia, they're suing in Arizona, election irregularities all over the place, and in every state, it's run by Democrats. John James apparently lost in Michigan. That's suspicious, too. He was leading all night. Suddenly he loses. Republican John James. And I think Whitmer in Michigan will be voted out of office in the next midterm because people are tired of being locked down and their arrogance. It's incredible. I'd say that if Joe wasn't a Republican. So, it got cold in the morning and then it gets hot in the daytime. Now, this is my Pittsburgh hat. It says Pittsburgh on it. I just thought I'd wear it because there's all the talk of Pennsylvania. It's very warm. And it says Pittsburgh all the way around. And it does get cold here at night when I go feed the kitties after dark. And we're supposed to have rain this weekend. And I could use it as a COVID mask. I couldn't see where I was going, but no one worry about COVID with this thing on. Hello, I do not have COVID. Nothing will get through this hat. So I can't see it, I can't breathe, but nothing will get through this hat. And And I quit the position I was in my game because the leader kept saying, it's a war game, you should expect it. I got so mad I swore, and, oh, you're insulting the other players by swearing. I said, have you been so frustrated you swear? I'm tired of the constant attacks. I just got attacked again. They captured my hero. I'm not happy. So, men of the hero came back to the city. This other guild is waiting for me all the time, and they're attacking me constantly. I'm just still tired of it. I may quit that game. The other two games, they actually have a peace bubble. In one game, you get peace bubbles, which means they can't attack you. But this game, it's constant. They're having a weekend attack again after we had a guild attack and then a kill event. And now they're having, I said, you never get a chance to recover your troops and your resources. They're constantly going after your cities. So I'm sick and tired of it. No, it gets cold late at night. I've got the electric blanket on. I have the door open. Kitten comes up and squeaks. Mama kitten comes up and squeaks. The wind comes off the bay late at night and it gets ice cold in here. In the morning when I go out to put dry food for the cats, it's cold. And by noon, it's hot. And I was walking back from the post office and I said, I looked at this guy coming out of the DA's office. I felt like saying to him, when the hell did summer not leave? Because it's 78 degrees here and warm and sunny. And I'm sweating every time I go out. And I'm going like, we're supposed to be in fall where it's cool. Well, you're caught in your, I'm not going to allow that comment because you're assuming that Biden has won. It's not going to go so easily because the votes are coming in. They said that they're getting clumps of 90 to 100,000 votes, and 60,000 for Biden, and that kind of block is unheard of. There's corruption in these, and it's not the votes on election day. It's all these mail-in ballots, provisional ballots that, and Trump has said all along, these are rife for corruption. Rudy Giuliani said it. The New York Times before Trump said that this kind of voting is a pathway to vote fixing, and no one is going to know who wins this for probably a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. John Roberts, the conservative turncoat who votes constantly with liberals, will vote for Biden. And they are already talking about Amy, I cannot remember her last, Comey, I can't remember her last name, terrible names. They want the Democrats, the Biden people want her to recuse herself on the only basis that Trump nominated her, which is ridiculous. So we will see what happens. And the other thing, the code word now for the Biden people and the Democrats and the governor of Pennsylvania, the governor of Michigan, the governor of Wisconsin, the governor of Georgia, and all the election officials, or let every legitimate vote be counted. And we heard that in the election with Al Gore and George W. Bush. They used the same mantra because they consider every vote that comes in legitimate, even if they are illegitimate, as long as their candidate wins. And the Democratic Party has never accepted the legitimacy of the George Bush Al Gore election because it was settled in the courts with hanging chads, and they have never conceded the legitimacy of the Donald Trump presidency because they won't admit that they lost, and that 90% of the votes for Biden are not pro-Biden. He's a boring stiff. It's because of the hate Donald Trump movement. So, well, if you put a vote in for someone who's not even on the ballot, you're being foolish and stupid. You put a vote in for the people that are running. Oh, and in one state, I think it was Wisconsin, might have been Michigan, it's one of the two, they managed to remove the Libertarian off the ballot. Now, how the hell do you remove a presidential candidate off the ballot? No, COVID is not supposed to be gone. I made a sarcastic remark that Trump and others have said, we'll have a vaccine in 2 weeks. And I said, which 2 weeks? So but then no one's paying attention to the vaccine. But we hit a record number of COVID cases today. So, but those are happening in big cities. They're not happening in the countryside. And as far as I'm able to determine, only one person at a Trump rally has gotten COVID. Biden said, "Oh, this is a super spreader event. Every Trump rally that everybody's going to get COVID." That hasn't happened. Biden doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Who won California? Well, Biden did, but that's another thing that I have a suspicion of. I worked out in Democratic politics, and I worked as an election official for 10 years in San Francisco in the 1970s. I was an inspector, and I was a poll watcher for the Democratic Party during elections. And in the old days, when you had absentee ballots, they were all on paper. We had big giant machines. They switched to a punch card ballot that stuck in the machine like this in the 80s. But you had to verify the numbers. You had to verify every ballot. You had to verify Ignor's signature. That took an hour. And then you boxed everything up, and you put it in the case, and you carted it down to City Hall. And I was an official also in Sacramento for 2 years. And that took another half an hour, an hour. I usually walked everything unless the thing got too heavy. It was a big metal case, and it was sealed with a metal seal. And you turned it in and signed for it, and you got paid for the election. I think we got $50. And it was a long day. You know, I got up at usually 4 o'clock in the morning, and in one case, the precinct was in my hotel, so I didn't have to go very far. And there were elections. We didn't get out of there till midnight. And yet, Fox News, which is now full of liberals, they hired a whole bunch of liberals and they forced Roger Ailes out for sexual harassment. And there are very few real conservatives on there other than Tucker Carlson, 2 commentators, and the people in Fox and Friends. The whole network's polluted with liberals now. They declared California, Oregon, and Washington for Biden 5 minutes after the polls closed. Now, unless you pre-count all those mail-in ballots, provisional ballots, absentee ballots, which you're not supposed to do, I think they can count the absentee ballots in California, but I'm not certain. I'm going to have to go to the election office and find out the procedure. There's no way in hell you can count millions of ballots in 5 minutes. This is why any prediction that so-and-so has won the state when the polls are just closed is wrong. There's no way they can count those. And some ballots are not supposed to count them till all the in-person ballots are counted. They have them stacked up in bins. I go by the election office, and during the election, there are bins of ballots in their warehouses stacked up waiting to be counted. The workers are out there taking a break, but go by there all the time. And the warehouse is a block from the actual registrar. They have to cart them over in giant carts. They push them down the sidewalk. I've watched them do it. But I've also watched and helped count ballots at the San Francisco Registrar of Voters. They're in giant bins, and it would take all night to count those ballots in the old days. Even electronic ballots, they still got to be counted, but the non-electronic ballots, the thing once people mail in, they may be punch carded, you fill a little circle in, there's a barcode on the bottom, but they have to be scanned. They can't be done in 5 minutes. It's impossible. This is why you have corruption. No, Trump is not acting like a dictator. He's acting like someone who's being screwed out of the presidency. And he's not going to put up with it. Neither is Giuliani, neither is his son, neither is a general that's there. They just talked live on Fox a little while ago, say we're going to fight this to the end, and it's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And it would reverse if the Republicans were doing this, but we tend not to cheat in elections because we're honest. Biden would be going to court. And you remember, Al Gore went to court. Well, I don't know about Belarus. I don't know. I don't even know exactly where Belarus is. So it's one of the former Soviet republics, but where it is, don't ask me. So, you know. Actually, okay, I'm done with you, Martin. Goodbye. I've just hidden Martin. I've just blocked him. He was doing nothing wrong in the Borat movie. He was adjusting his belt. He was set up. There were cameras in the background you could clearly see. And the Borat actor comes out dressed as a transvestite in bra and panties. And Giuliani was tucking his shirt, and that's what he said. And nothing untoward went on. So I'm tired of Martin. He's constantly argued with me on this channel. He is history. And he's probably a Biden troll. So I'm tired of his crap. And then people criticize me for, oh, he didn't mean to do anything wrong. Well, sorry. But, you know, Pennsylvania, Scranton, Erie, Allegheny County, which is Pittsburgh itself, Philadelphia, have all been havens for voter fraud as long as I can remember. And my family has been in Pittsburgh on my father's side for 200 years. It's a way of life in Pennsylvania. And all the big cities usually, every once in a while, they flip Republican. I think there was a Mayor Flaherty. I don't remember who, I think he might have been Republican, but it's very rare to get a Republican governor. I think the last Republican mayor and governor was William Scranton. And that's got to be in the 60s. It's very rare to get a Republican winning in any major city in Pennsylvania. The whole state is Democratic, but there are a lot of Trump voters in the West. The suburbs of Philly are Democratic. Philly is Democratic. And another thing, they have been known to bus people in from New Jersey to vote in Philadelphia. Crooked politics. And I remember the crooked politics back in the 60s. So I don't know who James O'Keefe is. You got me. And I don't care for Borat. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's funny. I think they probably voted for Biden. I know a number of them came from another site, went onto that site, were Obama people. So I'm sure of it. They don't like the fact that I'm a conservative. By the way, I have some bright news. It's almost as good as winning the lotto when I came close 15 years ago. They lowered my rent effective December 1st from $247 to $125 a month. This will be huge. That's $122 a month. I can afford to put money in the car fund. I can afford to get the iPad repaired now. So I don't know why they dropped the rent, but they did. So I'm going to send them the $125 next month. If Dave made a mistake, then I'm going to say, well, it's a hardship. I got the letter here saying you lowered the rent. So I was dumbfounded, but I'll take it. $127 savings a month is huge. Yeah, so I remember when I worked for Eugene McCarthy, not that they were paying people to vote, but we have seen that. The Muslim in Minnesota was buying votes, and we've seen people in New York City buy votes and all that. We were eating at White Castle hamburgers, and we were sleeping in a gymnasium. Four of the Kennedy people were sleeping in hotel rooms and were getting paid $50 a day to work for Kennedy. That's Robert Kennedy. And this was in Indiana on my birthday, my 16th birthday. I worked for Eugene McCarthy. Then I worked for Hubert Humphrey as a coordinator and was in Chicago and got beat up at the Democratic convention by the Chicago police, which is another corrupt state. Illinois, Chicago goes Democratic, downstate goes Republican, but for some reason, every election the state goes Democrat. I don't know why. It's very strange to me. And Minnesota, the Farmer Labor Party of Hubert Humphrey, the state constantly goes Democrat. I don't know who that guy is. Hello, Estes. No, I never met Elvis Presley. I did not hang around those circles, and I've never been to Memphis. And by the way, JFK would be considered a Republican today. Remember, he had tax cuts too. He had some of the biggest tax cuts. He kept us out of a nuclear war. He made a mistake. Hold on. My dad was at the Pentagon. He called my mother and said, you have 15 minutes to live if the ball goes up. So don't try to leave Washington because then we know where to run to. That's how close we came to nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know which one it was, but I'm not happy. So if you came in, but that guy, whoever it was, really pissed me off. They come in there to take somebody else's handle, too. So, but even if I were not a Republican, I want a fair election. I want an election where every vote is legitimately counted for legitimate reasons, and if a vote is suspect, it gets thrown out. Where someone could say they're James Smith, and then they go vote, and then the real James Smith shows up, and then he says, I didn't vote, and he shows the ID, and I want people to show ID. You got to show ID when you go to the bank. You got to show ID when you go to the store. They now ask, and I think they passed a silly law in California to buy booze now. You have to show your ID. I had a guy in front of me who was 75 years old. He had to show his ID for a bottle of booze or for beer. I'm 68. I bought liquor. I had to show my identification. I'm going, this is nuts. We're not 18. Well, they've had studies. The Democrats keep coming out. We've done studies in the New York Times, Newsweek, Time, and other liberal, the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, the Huff and Puff Post. There's very little evidence of voting fraud. But I remember back in the day in the 80s or 90s, when Bob Doran and the conservative in Orange County got voted out of office by a Democrat who bussed in voters. She didn't just bust in voters, she busted in legal alien voters, registered Democratic, and that's how he lost his congressional seat. So that's 30, 40, 50 years ago. Well, I think it's far more than that. Because how are they going to go through? We just had 150 million people vote in person or by mail, and how are they going to go through 150 million votes and find out where the voter fraud is and isn't? And we've seen people in prison vote. Every election, they do a study afterward. They find that a whole bunch of dead guys are voting, and then they get a lawsuit that they try to remove the dead guys, and somebody sues them and won't let them remove the dead people on the ballot. Or people, they get people with ballots in vacant lots, that former houses, and they list 1, 2, 3, 3rd Street, and there's just a lot there, and there might be 10 guys all voting at the same address. I think ballot fraud is far more pervasive in such a tiny number. Now, these are not anecdotes. I've read these on news sources. I don't bring up anecdotes. No, I don't drink much. But occasionally I get a bottle of Spaten. I get my Pennsylvania Dutch eggnog every Christmas. I drink a little shot of that. I drink cognac in my tea when I'm sick or can't sleep. But I'm not much of a drinker. But now they have this stupid law that even if you're obviously older than 18, you have to show identification. It's dumb. But it's also control. The California government wants to control the lives of every Californian. That's why people are leaving the state in droves. Gavin Newsom just got nailed with a permanent court order about his locking down the state. Look, voter ID laws are there not to, it has nothing to do with the 24th Amendment. You go in, you show your ID to prove that you're John Smith, and you're the real John Smith, the authentic, the only John Smith, and you're allowed to vote. And no one's pretending to be you. No one's using your name. There were people, and this is not anecdotal either, when Barack Obama ran for the Senate, for the state Senate, and wherever the hell he came from, Illinois, 2 of his workers went in and forged signatures of legitimate voters. Now, that's election fraud. He should have never been elected to the state Senate. He should have never been elected U.S. Senator. He should have never been president. His people committed fraud in his name. That's not anecdotal. The word is out there. You have things you may remember. A guy named Al Franken, who was on Saturday Night Live. He ran for U.S. Senator. He was losing, and suddenly they found 7,000 or 10,000 votes in a station wagon or on a loading dock or on a schoolyard. I don't remember exactly which, but I remember it happened. Suddenly he becomes senator. Luckily, he had to resign because he was sexually harassing women. He's a scumbag. But they'll do anything to cheat to win an election. And it's not anecdotal. The proof is out there. And you have cities like New Orleans, full of voter fraud historically, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown, Scranton, New York City, Bayonne, cities in New Jersey. It's going back to the 40s, 30s. Kansas City, the machine would set up votes. They'd pay bums to come in and vote. You think we haven't had voter fraud and it's something new? Well, yeah, New York is if putting you at 14. So is New Jersey and Connecticut, not just New York. Achtung, you are at the border. You will stop when you were quarantined for 14 days or you come from California. So a leftist state is telling other leftists they can't come into their state. You know, it's kind of funny if you think about it. But I don't know what happens if you have proof of I've been tested within 3 days if they make you quarantine or not. You can get a test to prove you don't have it. Well, you show your driver's license. You show your California ID card if you don't have a driver's license. I would move in a heartbeat if I had the money. Oh, by the way, you can donate to this channel. Let me switch the channel. Move the mouse out of the way. This mouse keeps losing the mouse. Hold on. Here's the magical hat. My arm always gets in the way of the camera. Okay, now, my arm always gets in the way of the camera. Okay, now, I hope one day I can get my TV to be my monitor for the Macs, so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. I ask this every video, but all these things that I get to help me use the computers cost me money. I can't see that. And you can donate cat food, cat gifts. I don't want cat food because of, I don't know if it's been tampered with. To my P.O. box. And of course, you can donate to Super Chat. They're always saying there's a face in the doorway. Let me look. Okay. There is no face in the doorway. There is nobody out there. Soul sister from Korea. And I just told you, folks, nobody listens or pays attention. This mouse will enable me to use the other Mac where the figurines are there, where the alien lights are there. I won't do it very long because my legs and knees and everything start hurting. My left foot is still sore. I found one of my 2 new shoes. I got to find the other one. My shoes are making my feet sore. So, no, because I could not use this mouse with both computers because the Bluetooth getting confused. In California, I believe the fee for a driver's license is $35. For seniors, it is $0 for an ID card. I'm not sure about a driver's license, so I don't have to pay for an ID card, which I have an ID card. But when this mouse is set up with a new mouse pad, this is a wired mouse. It is a laser mouse, which I didn't realize. I'll have to buy a mouse pad or find one. Then I'll be sitting in that chair, but the most I'll sit in that chair is like an hour because I start being in pain from sitting in that chair for too long. I don't know, and I certainly can't look up. I don't have a constitution in hand or a reference work to know what the 24th Amendment is. It's a matter of stopping voter fraud. So how is it a violation of any amendment to show ID to vote? No, I have tons of rechargeable batteries. That's not an issue. And 5 chargers. Well, they're not doing poll taxes, not the 50s in the Deep South. Poll taxes were declared illegal by the Supreme Court, I believe, but don't quote me on that. I'm going to take this hat off because I'm getting hot. Whew. And it does mess up my hair, and I still haven't got a haircut. Well, that doesn't happen anymore, so why you bring up something that doesn't occur anymore? There are no poll taxes. Haven't been for years. That's an argument made by liberals. Oh, they made blacks pay a poll tax. Yeah, they didn't after Reconstruction, but it's not done now. You walk in and you vote. And how do they make you pay a poll tax if you're doing an absentee or by mail vote? There's no, you don't stick a damn check in there. That's DMV. That has nothing to do with voting. You're being ridiculous. I don't know. I've only had 1 cup of coffee. I've had 2 cups of coffee. My eyes hurt. Excuse me, I'm sleepy. Little girl has been cuddling with me as hard as she can at night. My knees still hurt. They're still inflamed, but other than that, I'm okay. And then my nose has been running like crazy. But you have to show that Donald Trump showed his passport. All right, you have to pay $400 or something for a passport now. You know, you have every state, as far as I know, charges for a driver's license. I watch CNN, I watch Sky News, I watch a little bit of ABC, which was way late than what it was. They were not doing real time. That's all I watched, but I watched a ton of videos. So, the best of my recollection, I was not driving the Prius on film. Cricket? All right, Franco, I'm putting you to timeout. I've told you there's no poll taxes, and you keep doing it. Stop. Well, I don't want to know what I did watch. I've watched The Blaze, and of course, I will watch Mark Levin when I have time, and of course, I will watch replays of Rush Limbaugh. So, Franco, you're getting annoying. I told you to stop. There's no poll tax. And paying for a driver's license is not a poll tax. Kathy didn't vote this year. She's got a driver's license. She didn't vote because she didn't get her ballot. It's a fee to the state to fund the DMV and to fund the California Highway Patrol and the courts. That's what that fee is for. It has nothing to do with voting. You're being an idiot. Yeah, George Norrie advertises Newsmax all the time. I bought a radio from Newsmax when I subscribed to the magazine. I enjoyed the magazine. The radio fell apart after about 6 months. It's one of those solar crank radios. No, she is not a fan of I'm the one that's a fan of Charizard. And if I had Charizard as my Pokemon, well, you know what happened to illegal voting in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona, I would fly with my Charizard. Excuse me, are you a corrupt election official? Yes, I am. Not anymore, you aren't. Now, count the ballots legally and correctly. Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Don't burn us. We'll stop that right away with my Charizard. Who's going to stand up to a fire-breathing dragon, a Republican dragon? Well, RT is suspect. Every time I watch RT is partially funded by the Russian government. That means it's suspect, says Google. But RT has some interesting news stories. So I watch a lot of things. I refuse to watch NBC, ABC, PBS, the Clinton News Network, MSNBC, and CNBC. And I can't remember. One of them has Kramer. And the financial news, I watched Fox Business. When I had it on my iPad, I watched Fox Business all the time. Hello, Big Ben. How you doing? Hello, Nana. So, that would be something, though. Even if I didn't fry the evil election official, the registrar of voter, the secretary of state, and the governor of Pennsylvania, I'm here to watch the polls. My dragon doesn't like it when he can't watch people count votes. What would they say to me? Oh, come right in, Mr. Sendo. We didn't mean to offend your dragon. Here, Charizard, light this candle for me, just so, I could have some extra light. You can bet there'd be votes counted correctly and properly with no shenanigans in that counting place. Then I'd fly to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia, and Arizona, and North Carolina. Make sure the same thing happens. Maybe get a whole, there was a Charmeleon, Charmander village with a whole bunch of Charmander. We get a whole horde of Charmanders just show up in every state. Okay, we have the voting police, the Charmander. No, I don't watch Al Jazeera. They're pro-terrorism. No. Remember, Al Gore sold his Al Gore Network, whatever I think that was Oxygen. He sold it to Al Jazeera. That was AON. Won't watch anything connected to the corrupt, fake news, fake global warming Al Gore. Man who has a carbon footprint bigger than the Incredible Hulk. I see stories now where they just did a park in San Francisco on the former industrial area off of 3rd Street. And they go, this park, of course, even though we built this park, and it's in the shadow of the former Hunters Point, it may be in the former Hunters Point Naval Shipyard, where we're doing this, but in 25 years, this area will be completely underwater. The only city that has an issue with underwater, the only 2 cities are Miami and Norfolk. And that's partly due to erosion caused by hurricanes. Norfolk has areas which are flooding, and so in Miami the water table is rising. But that both of those could be corrected. But they've said at one point, they showed maps, that all of the coastline of San Francisco will be underwater in 20 years, and they were saying that when Al Gore was running for president. That's why a lot of this global warming stuff is total BS. It didn't happen. The Antarctica and the Arctic are going to melt. We still got frozen stuff in the Antarctica. The glaciers are all going to melt. We're not all underwater. I live 8 blocks from the bay. If everything was going to melt, I'd be up to my ass in water. And I'm on the 2nd floor. Al Gore? Al Gore's another liar. Banana hammock. Well, I don't know how you make hammocks out of bananas. I got 3 bananas there, and I got them on Monday, and they're already starting to rot and just sitting there. So how can you make hammocks out of bananas? Within a day, they start turning brown and rot. Yeah, they spin around. I don't trust hammocks. Every time I got in a hammock, the thing would spin. I'd fall on my ass as a kid. So I ain't no way I'm gonna sleep in no hammock. Not unless they're about 25 feet wide and held in by about 4 ropes that it wouldn't move or sway in the wind. Then I might consider it. Now I have seen they have cat hammocks where they're on a pole and the kitty can sleep in the hammock, but that's a little different. I sleep on this terrible sofa bed, so I don't know if it's king size or not, but I can feel every spring on it. My back hurts. That's why I get up in pain in the morning. And sometimes you see me in pain, and on the edge of this bed is a piece of metal that Abram cut down, but he didn't cut it down enough. I'm going to get an angle grinder and cut it down further. It keeps digging into my leg when I sit here. And when I get up out of bed and I'm watching YouTube. So, and they have cat beds shaped like bananas, which are very popular. But I think those are mostly for kittens. They make spark, but he had that thing going for about half an hour before it cut the piece of metal off. Sparks whenever it didn't catch anything on fire. It just was scary and very noisy. Yeah, but Abram turned on me. He did an interview on one of the big hater podcasts talking about everything I told him. So that's very sad. He won't return my phone calls, so he went to the dark side. I really like the guy, too. Oh, well, you know. Yep, went to the dark side of the force. So. I have no idea. They probably did. I've heard they paid people to talk about me, which is disgusting if you think about it. Well, guys, I'm getting tired. My eyes are getting droopy. My back is getting tired. My butt is getting tired. The light is getting irritating my eyes. I think I'm going to quit this one. Pretzel dip. I'm not sure what the pretzel dip is. I dip pretzels in mustard. I'm from Pennsylvania. We dip our soft pretzels in mustard. We put them on our soft pretzels. That's the only pretzel dip I know anything about. So pretzel dip must be some new thing that I'm not aware of. Unless it's some weird dance. Yeah, well, I don't take the whole pretzel. I break a piece off and dip it that way. I love soft pretzels. I shouldn't eat them, but I've been eating those since I was a child. They got carts every year in Pittsburgh, mostly at Christmas time, or it used to be. You get a pretzel, soft pretzel, and they'd have another guy selling chestnuts. I tried a bag of chestnuts. I wound up giving all to the squirrels, roasted chestnuts. And would crack them open so the squirrels wouldn't have as hard time on their teeth. Would leave them out for the squirrels. I do that now when I have the money. I go get walnuts and bag of walnuts, crack them open, leave them down. Little squirrels all show up. They're all very excited, particularly in the wintertime. And unsalted peanuts. So I feed squirrels because they're cute. Well, if you're from Pennsylvania, you got the hard pretzel people and the soft pretzel people. And I like both, but the soft pretzel, I'm missing teeth, and these two are loose. The iPad fell on my teeth and loosened them, so I have to sometimes eat soft pretzels. I don't like cheese stuffed pretzels. So I'm a purist. Give me my pretzel, put the mustard on it. And that's it. No garlic on the pretzels, no onion on the pretzels. There is a Snyder's where they have, what do they put on that? It's really yummy, and I can't remember what flavor it is, but Kathy really likes them. So they're little nuggets. Snyder's of Pennsylvania, and they're from, I believe, King of Prussia, PA, but I don't remember exactly. Next time when I go to Safeway tomorrow, I'll look up where they're from. Yeah, I was holding on to the iPad one night, and my hands went numb, and it landed on these two teeth, and now they're both loose. And I want to tell you, and that was before I had a case for it. The metal iPad hit my teeth, and the pain, I was screaming. Really hurt, but now the tooth's loose. I thought it was going to come out, and that's why I have a case on this now, a better case than the one that was given to me. But without this case, I don't know. You know, they've said I have to go get dentures. Western Dental said that. I'll have to get these teeth looked at. And I don't know if I would have to pay for dentures or whatever, but, well, I could put the pretzels in a blender. Throw the mustard in there and a little relish, and just grind them up and just, eat them that way. But I don't want to do that. I do have a little trouble chewing. Pretzel smoothie, yeah. I didn't steal it. Oh, what would I didn't even think of the word smoothie. I have a blender and I have a grinder. I can grind the pretzel up, or I can, in fact, the grinder will emulsify stuff into a smoothie. It does both. So I'm not going to put milk in the pretzel. I'm not going to put soda in the pretzel. So it'd just be the ingredients, maybe a little bit of water. But it would be weird. Not going to throw mayonnaise in there. Yeah, maybe we could do an infomercial. Now the weight loss secret of the ages, the pretzel smoothie. You eat these, you will lose weight because you'll be busy trying to get rid of it after you eat it. I don't know. Who knows? Pretzel smoothie food truck, right? With the street pretzels. There you go, street pretzel tacos. with shredded cheese or melted cheese on them, either jalapeno cheese or cheddar cheese or American cheese, Swiss cheese, Gouda, whatever your choice is, but no Limburger. Limburger is stinky. The devil's cheese. So, well, excuse me, people, but my body is saying it's nap time. I'm sorry, but my eyes are getting heavy, and my body is saying it's time to go to sleep. Little girl in here? I don't think so. I like sleeping with little girl. Okay, this is George Sender, the guy from Pittsburgh. Once again, no one donates, which saddens me. Have a great night. Stay wet, warm, dry, or cool as the case may be. Stay warm and dry and safe. And I hope that we have a fair and legitimate election decision soon. Now there went the Mac. Just went into screensaver mode because I hadn't done anything with it. So, yeah, maybe I should trademark that name, Pretzel Smoothie Food Truck Incorporated or something, LLC. Okay, and on that note, where would I get a pretzel smoothie food truck? Mr. Smoothie, Mr. Pretzel. Ding, 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 ding. You have ice cream? No, we have pretzel smoothies. What's that? The new conservative snack food. If you love Trump, you'll love the pretzel smoothie. Okay. Bye-bye for now. Such silliness. Things that come up. No, 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 I'm not going to put a blender. Not the way Kathy drives. No, no blenders in the Prius. There's nowhere to plug it in anyway. Unless you get an adapter for the cigarette lighter. And some cars are not coming with cigarette lighters anymore. And how would you hold the blender up? I have to hold it in my lap and have that thing go... No, 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 I'm not going to do that. Maybe if I became rich, I could have a car that looked like a blender and had a giant blender behind me, and I'd have the steering wheel. Yeah, it's more like the other way around. The blender draws power. You know, it's not the blender gives power, it takes power. It takes a lot of voltage to turn all that stuff and grind everything up. So, I'm sure there must be limousines with ice machines and blenders and daiquiri mixers and all that stuff, but I don't know. Yeah. Now maybe you could have a blender where the bottom would be open and the blades would spin, and that produce power for the Prius to go further. You know. I wonder if you could put a vane on the back of the Prius and it would just spin like a pinwheel and it would go faster. Or maybe wind resistance might slow it down. I don't know. We get into silly stuff here. All right, I had fun though. Except for the fake troll. Have a good night, people. I'll catch you next time. I'm going to eat my dinner, whatever it is, and take a nap. Bye-bye for now.